Hey everyone, it's Alisha here at Cosmic Gateway. Here, well, I'll be honest, I didn't think I'd be back so quickly with another video update. Today, as I'm recording this, is Sunday the 5th of October. And as I mentioned in previous, I think it was a post I wrote last update, I kept getting the message that the October energies land and ground more stabilized around the 5th of October. So as I'm recording this, it has been, as I've been sharing, there has been a lot of oscillation between the higher and lower timelines. And literally it's like one day on and one day off. It's kind of rotating. Not exactly, but you could say in 24-hour intervals where the body is the barometer of the timeline. So if you're paying attention to what your body's doing, you will notice being just in a higher or lower timeline depending on how your physical body feels, and of course how the energy of reality reflects that. But essentially, and it's not a comparison or a blame game or I'm not doing enough. It's literally a process to observe via integration of all the cosmic energy and the cosmic integration that's happening. This may not be relevant for everyone, but I do believe that everyone is being impacted by this process to varying degrees. So you may notice that on one day you're feeling alert and vibrant, full of energy. There's no soreness or pain or twinges happening within the body. And literally the next day, it's almost the complete opposite. The body feels almost unbearable at times, very uncomfortable, a lot of pressure being put on the body as we're going through these types of coding, like DNA activations. And so I believe that some of this is literally I do believe most of it is this transformation of the accumulation of all our fractal aspects of self coming into this melting pot or merging point, which is bringing on our like cosmic diamond body, essentially. So our body's literally going through a physical metamorphosis. And I do believe that a lot of the twinges and pains, there is a lot of energetics that are impacting that. But there is also the bleed through of the other realities, the parallel realities. And as I go through more, I'll explain in detail what I mean. So with the physical body stuff, it does need attending to. We do need to support it in the best ways we can through movement, exercise, gentle massage, working the fascia, eating correctly, staying hydrated, and literally or simplistically listening to our intuition and what our body needs in each moment. And just supporting it with enough rest and nurture, because it's like there's these huge sort of cosmic galactivations happening, and the assimilation of that energy is like really felt through the body, and we're doing this simultaneous clearing and encoding happening at the same time. And some days we'll feel better and some days we'll feel worse, and it's just this metamorphosis that's occurring. Of course, if you feel concerned, seek support in what feels most relevant for whatever you're going through. This is just the energetic take on it. As I mentioned, we do need physical support for the vessel to help adjust to these energies. So, so the physical stuff, of course, there's still the emotional stuff, primarily I feel like the parts that are being impacted the most is the stomach, the heart, the throat, and then it's working its way into the head. It's almost like this very slow burn sort of kundalini that's recoding the physical cells, and it feels like it's recoding the nervous system and the energetic system as this energy is trying to detoxify and upgrade. But that wasn't the reason why I was going to come on. Obviously, that wants to come in first. And so I've been having a body day today. And every time I lie down, there's streams of information coming through. And it has not let up all day. So I was very clearly, I had this very clear, you have to record a quick update to basically disperse this energy and share these codes that are coming through, because it's a lot for my body. And I notice that each time I share an update or a post, as you notice, I've been a lot more active on social media. Every time I share something, there's like a release that happens in my body and I can settle. So it's like the energy is almost too much that's coming in. And I've been having some really interesting conversations, and I've had a lot of interesting questions thrown my way, and I want to kind of address some of these that may be helpful for people to understand what we're navigating through. It dawned on me that every time there is a big universal code or counterpart code that's trying to come in, the body takes a big hit and a release to incorporate. And that's what has been ongoing, in my opinion, to the highest degree I've ever experienced. And I believe the reason for that is because we're moving into a period where we're going to maintain and sustain this level of code and frequency and embodiment, not just pop in and out like it has been done in the past. We're moving out of that cycle into a new. And there's this, what I was told, the acronym that I was given was SSC. Now it's not SSP, it's SSC. SSC stands for the Sacred Soul Connection or Sacred Soul Counterpart. And this is the energy that has been brewing more potently for the past couple of weeks, or perhaps even months for some people. That's why September was so brutal in ripping apart relationships. If we looking at it purely from the energetics, September was about ripping or breaking apart or dismantling the old relationship template that has been in operation in its inverted state for a very long time. And these are energies that are being dismantled within us and within some or many different relationship dynamics. And it's through that process that we're literally unraveling, through all of our experiences, unraveling this toxic, codependent, unhealthy relationship dynamics. And this can show up in so many different ways, whether it's intimate connections, friendships, families, like it's across the board. But what is now, as that process has gone through the intense phase of the dismantling, the recoding is coming online. So you may be feeling both simultaneously. So the SSC is literally, as I see it, is a golden with rainbow hue sacred geometry structure that represents the higher octave or the sacred divine Counterpart relationship template. This feels very cosmic. It feels very galactic. And the information that I have been getting for the past few days, maybe a week, is this is the cosmic alignment of counterparts and sacred relationships that's incoming to ground and anchor and be integrated and fully expressed, which blows my mind because many years ago, and I might even put the link to this, I did a very long video talking about the archetypes of sacred connection. And in it talked about the galactic counterpart. And I was shown back then, this was in 2021, that this level of frequency counterpart is the hardest to embody and the hardest to in its clearest, most purest form, formulate a perfect cohesive relationship, purely because it's out of the distortion layers and realms. And it would take many years, is what I was told back then, for people of this frequency to harmonize in stable relation in the physical. This is what is in the process of occurring right now. And what is even more exciting is I've always been shown that when that piece of the puzzle occurs, that correlates with huge collective shifts into new spaces and dimensional realities. So this energy is now fully being accessed and incoming for those who hold that template within them. It's almost being drip fed down through the line. And for those that don't resonate with that, will still be impacted by the frequency of it as a distribution, as it ripples through. I can't begin to, I hope you're picking up the energy behind this, because this has an enormous, there's an enormity to this energy, a potency, a powerful. Now, what I have been getting is this is not something that happens overnight. This is like a slow burn, because we want to be able to stabilize it and not move off this trajectory and timeline. So we've got to go slow and steady. We've got to be patient. We've got to allow it to integrate. But it literally, once it's kind of fully stabilized, is opening up the portal to miraculous expansion and essentially how we would perceive New Earth or optimum timeline. So this process has started. I feel like it will be ongoing through to the end of this year, and then really opening the gates for 2026. And so I have felt the call to facilitate a soul connect on the 10th of the 10th. And the name that was given was the resurrection of the sacred power within, which is more specifically around the activating of the masculine energy code, because I feel like that is a force to be reckoned with, and that is part of the landing, the anchoring and the grounding. I'll put the details in the description box if you feel the call to join. This is accessing our sort of cosmic code, if you will, that is really potent and powerful. So the Soul Connect will be a facilitated journey to go through that process, and also time and space to connect and have these really profound conversations and exchanging energy code. And then I was shown that in November there will be the next level, and then we're moving into sort of 12/12 and sort of into the December solstice, which will be a cosmic rebirth energy. So we're kind of moving through the ranks and the reigns of that. And this definitely coincides with the body metamorphosis and transformation. Another message that I was getting today in all of this is that the body is restoring itself to optimum as the timeline corrects itself, and the reversal is occurring, and the grounding of this frequency. And that the bodies have been, I heard specifically for me, the bodies have been through so much, especially in the last 19 years, that is being corrected. And I believe that what that message was talking about is for those who have been doing a lot of intensive multidimensional work cleanup. This can tie into SSP and other different types of program-related experiences of cleaning up the dark. You don't even have to identify under that category, because I know that a lot of people can identify with what I call the mission dreams. The dreams and the dimensional spaces, and where we participate in a lot of the cleanup and going into the really dense and dirty places to help this multi-dimensional shift that is in progress and has been for quite some time. But it feels like it's just ramped up a notch or 2 or 10 or 12 just in the last, couple of weeks. And so I believe that a lot that the body has taken tolls on, and this also goes into the concept that I shared in the last update around the pods, the matrix pods. There is a lot of bleed through that occurs in the physical body in relation to other parallel aspects of us that may be in battle, wounded, sore, been poisoned, have like toxicity. I think that there is a direct correlation that our physical body, as it's integrating all those aspects, is trying to process out and the energies of. And I've shared this a lot, but specifically over the years when I've gone through health stuff, and it's shown up as like things like radiation and crazy things. I've had a recall of being in a highly toxic or radioactive space in my dream space, and then I've had the physical symptoms here. So there is a direct correlation. And sometimes when we have weird anomalies or health issues, not always, but I do believe that that is a big part of it. So I want to talk a little bit about the mission dreams, because this is all interconnected. If you haven't yet watched the conversation that I had with Todd Medina on Saturday, I would highly recommend, because it might paint a little bit more context. I'll put the link to that below. So for the last handful of days, I've had what seems to be like a flow-on effect of mission dreams. This actually, as I say that, I think this goes back even weeks, but it's like now it's kind of very amplified in my face. And there's themes. So the themes are that people are in facilities, underground bases, prison systems, so essentially imprisoned. And this ties into what I was talking about of the resurrection of the masculine energy. When I sometimes having a lot of body stuff, I tune in and I literally feel like my whole right side is still plugged in or connected to matrix energy cords, and my left side is free and expansive. And what is happening internally is this divine union of this energy wants to merge and unify as one and basically rebirth within. But while the aspects aren't compatible, let's say, because they're in different frequency bandwidths, it's becoming very pronounced and very clear until that process can unify. So what I feel is happening is a micro, macro, what is happening within of the unification of this sacred template, divine sacred template, is what is trying to happen on a macro level in the external reality of couplings coming together. I'm going to take a pause now because it's a lot. So coming back to these dreams and the rebirthing or resurrection or the reclaiming of the masculine energy, I feel is directly linked to some of the parallel experiences of being in these types of scenarios that I've been seeing. Take it literal as parallel realities or take it metaphoric, it still has the same representation. And so I've been dreaming about these different facilities, and there's like masses of groups of people, some that I know and some that I don't know, but I in a sense know them all, even if I can't recognize them in this life, this lifetime or timeline. And a lot of it is like covert operations and missions that are taking place to free a lot of individuals who've been wrongfully placed in these locations and places and spaces. And this feels like it's very on Earth, not necessarily off planet. And it feels like a soul retrieval of parallel fractals, essentially. And I think this is how we're incorporating and reclaiming lots of our own consciousness is happening via our dream space. So I had one dream of being in it looked like an underground facility prison, and my cell that I was in there with like maybe 8 to 10 other people, mine was the only one that had a door open. The rest were like locked in and closed, and I could freely go in and out. And I knew I was doing that because I was planning and plotting something. Then carry on to the next dream. I was working in a team of about 12 people, and 2 people had been taken out from the team, and we were kind of in this frenzy of trying to understand the next steps of how we could prevent any more casualties from our team. And we're working out who was the next target. And when we realized who that was, I had this like intense frozen fear, because I realized the target was the person I had been paired with in this like sort of covert operation. And then I woke up. Now when I have these, I say in quote, dreams, they're so real that I know that they're a parallel. Now I don't fear about death and dying in these, because I think sometimes when we do essentially die, it's a part of like it's like a quantum leap or integrate, like merging, like the quantum merging sessions that I do. It's like an aspect of our timeline or energy comes back to the host, which is us here and now. But it's also showing us of what we're cleaning up in part of the process to collapse all the timelines and streamline them into one. So as the timelines are collapsing, so are the parallel aspects of us unifying as one. I hope that I'm not losing you. Yeah. There's a lot of information, so I hope I'm not jumping around too much. And then finally this morning I woke up with the final dream in the segment, which was I was working with a team of women. I think there may have been 12 of us that we were working inside these sort of government facilities or like agencies, and like in there was like men, groups of men who kind of been incarcerated or like taken against their will and kind of imprisoned. And we were going in like as double agents to like work, like do like a some type of like job, like cleaning or administration or whatever. But essentially what we were doing, we were plotting and planning like this breakout escape. Now, the reason I'm sharing all this detail, there's so much code in this. So towards the end of the dream, the group that we were helping to free, which was a group of men, probably about, I almost want to say there were 20 or 30, maybe 40 of them. They were coming out one by one, and I had this interaction with one, and it was telepathic. And I basically said, like, is everything going to be okay? This is, this is dangerous. And his response to me was, no, it's fine. All I have to do is change my name and my identity. And no one will ever know that, like, no one will ever find me. I can live my life as I want. And then the second message came through and said, I will contact you in 2 weeks with my new identity. And I woke up, and I think I was just like marveling in the timing of the intuitive information that I've been getting around the peak in the middle of the month. I feel like there's some impactful day. Sorry for the background noise. That's Parky P, coughing up a hairball. If you, he thinks he's a cat, so I do apologize for the background. No beautiful howling, just the coughing. Come here. You gonna howl? No, okay. And so I had been getting that this process that is occurring throughout October and most likely beyond, but the core theme of this masculine energy and the reclaiming and the transformation and the reclaiming of identity, which is totally connected to the solar plexus, the gut, the masculine energy aspect. I was feeling that it's going to peak around the 17th to 20th of something quite profound happening within the individual, maybe collective, I don't know. But sometimes I get key or peak dates. And it's like being diligent with how you're guided to navigate this process and time right now, because it's worth it in what's coming through. So the other aspect is I feel like these, coming back to this SSC, the sacred soul connection or counterpart, to me it feels like the cosmic counterpart connections are actually coming into land. Whether that's like Todd mentioned, this image he had of being on a spacecraft and it's coming to land onto Earth, and that galactic aspect is merging and integrating with the human, whether it's just a dimensional aspect of a cosmic aspect just dropping in like a a walk-in upgrade. It literally feels as though these cosmic connections, masculine, feminine, the counterparts are being prepared to come back into unity, into conscious relationship, and to bring all this abundant code and pure life force energy into the planet. And so I've had a lot of discussions with people and questions being asked about what does that look like in a human form, because I'm going through this dynamic right now. I've met this person. What is going on here? And I can't speak for everyone, but I can give a overview of a playbook that generally follows, and I'll explain the energetics of it. So when two people come into contact, now this could be, use this as, if it is relevant, use it as it applies. This could be a relationship that's gone through a complete breakdown and reconnecting at the next level octave. That's one aspect. So it could be a full disconnect and break away to reconnect in the higher aspect of each other and bring in a whole new storyline and timeline. This can be someone that you haven't seen in a very long time, and then all of a sudden you're in reconnection, whether that be energetic or in the physical. This can be meeting a new person. It's all energy and frequency. So depending on the individual's path. But it's like as this new template becomes available, there's a new energy that's like pushing through. And what the individual couples are doing is helping this integration of this cosmic or galactic aspect coming in to land. It literally feels like it's coming into land. And if you are, like, for those that are going through the scenario of being in contact, actually, it's not just an energetic thing playing out, it's like in physical contact. They're never streamlined easy. It can be a real hot and cold, off and on, talking 1 minute, blowing up the next, talking 1 minute, periods of pause and silence. What I'm saying is on the physical, often the physical is not reflecting the energetics and vice versa. Because there's a lot more happening in the energetics with this simultaneous cosmic coding, galactivation, and big purification. So it's like as the code comes in that's activated by the connection or by two people. Now this can and often is in romantic, intimate connection and partnership, but it's not limited to that. If two people have a big purpose, a mission to do some like soul work, mission work, it can have the same level of potency and creative life force energy. That's where it can get a little bit confusing when it's like same, like, well, I was going to say same sex. That's not the word I was reaching for. This can be very tricky to navigate if it's meant to be a platonic relationship and it's like male and female, or like there is a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a palpable attraction or chemistry. It can feel quite sexual. That is pure creational energy at its purest form. And when it comes into the physical, it can get quite confusing around the dynamics of how, I'm just trying to give an example. Like, say for example, you're already in a comfortable, healthy relationship, and you have this, huge activation via someone else, and they are someone of the opposite sex, let's just say. That can get confusing, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to leave your partner for them. It's about really getting clear with your soul and understanding the nature and the connection of the relationship. In most cases, it is a romantic connection, and it brings in that Trinity energy, essentially. The two creating the life force energy and the creation and the potency behind the creation. So it literally feels like we're in the beginning stages of all this kind of coming into play and coming into land. And what I've noticed is there's a big wave of counterpart connections that have really ramped up in energetics, in connection, in dialogue, in new connections formulating and meeting. And I guess I wanted to share a little bit about how right now, as these energies are trying to adjust in the human body, the relating may not be very streamlined or cohesive in the physical. It might be a bit choppy. It might be a little bit on and off. It might be a bit bumpy. It might have a bit of volatility to it. Now, this isn't to be mixed up or misrepresented with toxic relationships. There's a big difference. So it's being very clear with the energy of what is taking place. But I also want to say that these type of connections are otherworldly. These type of connections, when they're in their purest form, literally take you into another reality space. And when the frequency drops for either you or them or both, it's very conflicting for the mind, because you come back into a more dense or harsh reality. So there's a lot of cognitive dissonance that can occur in, did I just dream and make all that up? And often, no, you didn't. What you experienced was very real, but it's taking its time, and it's having a hard time adjusting into the physical, translating into the physical. So what I want to say with that is, always trust your own intuition, but be gentle and patient with your own process. So the most important thing is really not about what's happening in any dynamic. It's about the unification that is occurring within us, that sacred soul connection, counterpart, masculine and feminine merge that's coming to it's being accessed in a whole new frequency. So being able to connect within, to meditate, to work with both sides of your body, just to feel or ask to see or feel and work with that. The more we work with that, the easier the outer relationship dynamics can start to flow, depending on where the other person is at. So don't give up. We're all in this together. We're going through a lot, which is so profoundly transformative. Yet it has its complexities and challenges and confusion. So I hope that this update, it's probably a lot longer than what I had anticipated to share, but I hope that this update has shed a bit of light on just what's unfolding, and hopefully you can receive some of the code that's coming through my voice, through these energies. And if you would like to connect with me, if you would like to join for the Soul Connect on Friday the 10th, I would love for you to come along. I'll put all the details down in the description box below. If that's not for you and you want to connect with me separately or check out some of my courses, All that good stuff will be in the description box below. If not, I will catch you in the next video. Much love, and I will connect with you soon.